Welcome back to the Surrey Watch Guy. I'm Dan. Today I'm going to be speaking about the Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean Liquid Metal Limited Edition. I've owned this watch since February 2012. It's the longest watch that I've kept to date. Let's find out why. Before we start, quick customary wrist check. Today I'm wearing the No Time to Die Seamaster 300 on a Watch Gecko vintage Bond NATO. Love it. As far as histories go, the Planet Ocean line has a pretty short one. Omega announced them to the world back in 2005. From the off, it was positioned by Omega to compete with the likes of the Rolex Submariner, a premium diver. The design inspiration for the original Planet Ocean can be attributed to the Seamaster 300 reference 165.024, which was sold by Omega in the mid to late 1960s. The Planet Ocean took the dial, the sword style hands and case shape, and turned them into a much more modern watch. The original Planet Ocean came in either a 42 or a 45.5mm case size made of stainless steel. They were fitted with aluminium bezels that were either black or orange in colour. The dial was a matte affair with an applied Omega logo and painted numerals. These watches had a real tool watch look to them and were very popular back then, as they are now. Then, in October 2009, Omega announced to the world the Planet Ocean Liquid Metal Limited Edition. This was a real departure from the first generation and would go on to become mainstays of the current Planet Ocean line. 1,948 of these watches were made. 1948 was chosen as it's the year that Omega first released a watch with the Seamaster name. The reference for this watch is 222.30.42.20.01.001. Okay, so here the watch is in the metal. Let's run through some of the specs. The case size of this watch is 42mm in diameter with a thickness of 14.2mm. The case is made of 316L stainless steel, and it has the classic Omega shape with the beautifully curved lyre style lugs. The crown guards are very subtle and make the case slightly asymmetrical on the right hand side. The case is a mixture of polished and brushed surfaces, which really give it a nice luxurious look to it. Whereas the original Planet Ocean came with a matte dial, the Liquid Metal Limited Edition comes with this really deep inky black dial that is highly glossy and a real departure from the previous generation. The numerals on this dial are applied now, whereas on the previous generation they were painted. Omega clearly did this to upgrade the Planet Ocean from a very tool watch look to a much more modern luxury dive watch. There's a splash of red Seamaster text to break up the monochrome. There's a date window at 3 o'clock, the aperture is cut out and the date wheel blends perfectly with the dial colour. The bezel on this watch was Omega's first foray with liquid metal technology. It's a zirconium based alloy that becomes malleable when heated up. Omega first created a ceramic bezel and used an 8,000 watt laser to carve out the diving scale numerals and the bezel markings. Then the zirconium alloy is heated up and under pressure of up to 5 tons it's pressed into the cavities which were carved out. Once all the cavities of the ceramic bezel have been filled with liquid metal, the excess is removed and the bezel is polished to a high shine. This makes for a superb finish, and I feel it's much nicer and much better executed than Rolex, who also laser etched their bezel. They only put a very thin layer of platinum dust, which leaves an area for dirt which can gather. Lastly, the loom pip is recessed on the Planet Ocean, which I much prefer because there's a good chance you're going to knock your bezel and at least the pip isn't going to break off. Powering the Planet Ocean is a 2500C caliber movement. It's basically a modified ETA 2892. The 2892 was equipped with the coaxial escapement, which was invented by the late Dr. George Daniels in 1975. It was originally designed to beat at 28,800 vibrations per hour, but Omega concluded from research that slowing it down to 25,200 reduces wear and tear on the movement and reduces service intervals also. The movement has 27 joules and a 48-hour power reserve. Helping you to tell the time at a glance are the classic broad hour hands that Omega have been using since 1957. They have a large surface area which can be filled with lots of luminova and provide superb legibility and contrast even against a shiny dial like this one. The hands and indices on this watch are coated in super luminova, which when dark glow a beautiful blue colour. Now all the current Omega watches have blue hands apart from the minute hand and the bezel pip which glow green. I actually really like the fact that this one is all blue because the modern ones sort of affect my OCD. As for brightness of the lume, well, it pretty much lasts all night. It's not super bright, but at a glance at 4 o'clock in the morning you can look on the bedside table and you can tell the time. Moving on to the back of the watch, this one has a solid case back with the famous Seamaster hippocampus. It also references that this was a world premiere of liquid metal technology, and it also has the limited edition number. This watch has a water resistance of 600 meters, which is double what the Seamaster 300 Diver M is. To the left of the 10 o'clock indice is the helium escape valve. Now, personally, I am not a fan of these. You know, if you want to have a helium escape valve on your watch, fine, integrate it into the case. Omega have put these on their watches because if you're saturation diving and you get a build-up of helium inside the movement, if you don't have a helium escape release valve, then when you're coming up, the sapphire crystal could pop off and obviously you've got a damaged watch. I just think it detracts from the beauty of an otherwise spectacular watch, and I wish Omega didn't use them. This Planet Ocean came with the 3-link bracelet, which is now synonymous with the Planet Ocean line. It starts at 20 meters at the lugs and tapers down to an 18mm clasp. The end links on this bracelet increase the lug-to-lug length, which is actually 48.3mm to 53.5mm, and make it wear too large for me now since I've slimmed down. The clasp is a folding one that has a dive extension for putting over a wetsuit, but it crucially lacks micro adjustment. I've never been a fan of Planet Ocean bracelets for this reason. As I'm not a fan of the Planet Ocean bracelet, I had it changed out at the Omega boutique in Regent Street for this rather beautiful Omega OEM rubber strap with a deployant clasp. I think it really dresses the watch up and it actually wears more true to a 40mm size. To set the size, it's very easy. You just pinch the strap in, move it along, find the hole that you need, press it, and it's adjusted. Then you clamp it shut, twin push trigger, and it opens again. Okay, so now I'm going to put it on my wrist. My wrist is 6.7 inches roughly, and as you can see, it wears really well. Obviously it's pretty thick because of the 600 meter water resistance. But yeah, love it. Really nice. Back in 2012 when I bought this watch, it retailed for £3,750. The regular Planet Ocean was retailing for around 2,400 if I recall correctly, so it's quite a premium on the original. However, when I saw this in the metal, I just had to have it. Lucky me, the lady who sold me this watch didn't realise how special it was, and I managed to snag a 15% discount. Can you believe it? Now, 8 years later, amongst watch collectors, this is often looked at as the most lusted after of the entire Planet Ocean line. You know, it's the transitional model, it's got all the best parts of the 2500, and the best parts of the more modern version. Overall, I think this is a really, really good watch. Main niggle for me, the helium escape valve. Personally, if it had no date, I'd like it even more, but I've had it for 8 years, so something must be right. It's got the classic Omega design language with all the modern elements and refinements. It looks great on a bracelet, great on a rubber strap, great on a NATO, easy to tell the time, the lume is really good, and it wears true to its size, 42mm. What more can you ask for? These do come up for sale fairly regularly, and if you're in the market for one, they go from anything from between £4,500, and I've seen them advertised for crazy money up to about £8,000. It's like wearing a piece of history on the wrist. You know, this heralds the new change of Omega when they turned the Planet Ocean from a tool watch into a luxury dive watch, and that's no bad thing. If you like my video, give it a like and let me know what you think in the comments section below. It really means a lot. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.